All right, it looks like we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Rage of Steam, Episode 5. This is your co-host, Matt, and as always, your other co-host, Andrew, is here. Hey, Andrew.
How you doing?
And then we're very happy to present Peer Sylvester, who's joined us today. Hi, Peer.
Hi.
You really need no introduction, but Pier's design credits include Koenig von Siam and Verzindas Folk and Filipino Fruit Market, amongst others. So, and we're very excited to talk about your new game, North American Railways, that we're looking forward to, since it's about trains, and we are a train game show. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we usually start off with talking a little bit about what we've been up to lately, game-wise. Andrew, been playing anything interesting?
You know, I've been no train games. I've been catching up. Obviously, I've come to the hobby a little bit late, so I'm catching up on a lot of games that I haven't played that a lot of people already have played. El Grande being one, Keyflower. And some of those, and I've been really enjoying catching up on that kind of stuff. So, and then playing a lot of Kraftwagen. Clay from Capstone Games, who's doing the arc rights in the U.S., republishing that, came to Phoenix on a trip, and we played some Kraftwagen with him and hung out and talked a lot about what's going on with Arkwright and that kind of stuff. So
cool.
That's the majority of what I've been playing. So yeah, just a lot of catch-up on, like I said, classic games that people know a lot about. So how about you?
Well, me, I've been playing a little bit of the usual stuff, but 2 weeks ago, my wife and I were actually in New York, and we were able to meet up with Nicholas, who was on our last episode, and I and Chris Klarman, and we were able to get together for some games, and we played 18 Mechs, which was a first for me. Pretty cool 18xx title. I suffered my first bankruptcy, so that's exciting. I played very poorly. And then we played Kansas Pacific, the Winsome game, which I just think is a stellar iteration of the whole Cube Rails thing. So that was really fun, and to be able to play with those folks was really cool, and very happy that they donated their Sunday afternoon to hanging out with us. Yeah, Pierre, are you able to play other games, or do you just play your own designs for the most part, or?
No, right now I'm actually not so much time for designing, so I'm really playing other stuff. The last bigger game I played was Tragedy Looper, which kind of cool game. I one time said it's probably the best game I never play again because it's quite brain melting. But
oh, okay.
I did play it again, and it was better the second time. It's something completely unique. I can just recommend it to at least play it once to see how it works, because it's really plays unlike anything else. It's a strange game, and I kind of like those. Yeah, and I also played El Grande again for a long time. It's one of my favorite games of all times, and so I'm happy that I was able to play that again.
What game was that?
El Grande, the classic.
Yeah.
Majority, Godfather.
Yeah, that's a great game, and one I haven't had a chance to play in a while. We should all get together, clearly, and play some El Grande.
I picked up, Z-Man put out the big box edition with all of the expansions and all that, but we just played the base game, but
I've never played the expansions.
Yeah, I've heard that some of them are good and some of them aren't so good, but they're all in there. But so there's some opportunity to play it a few different ways. So.
I would say that I like the base game very much, but the only expansion really worth playing is the very first one, because that was how I think Kramer originally envisioned the game. And you see, it's a different layer again, but it's only worth it if everybody knows the game well. And if you play a game that's 20 years old, nobody's really in that anymore, so you will probably stick with the base game, which is fine.
Sure.
But if you have a chance to play a couple of games, then the first expansion is the one I would choose.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to play it some more because a few of my game group didn't get to play, and I know they're really going to enjoy it. So looking forward to that.
Very cool.
So Pierre, where are you at in? You're in Germany.
I'm in Berlin. Yes.
Berlin. Okay. And how long have you been there?
I moved 2005, I think. I moved 2004. I was working in Thailand, in Bangkok. And then I moved back to Hamburg, where I originally come from. But for work reasons, I got a teaching job in Berlin and stayed there since.
Cool. And how long have you been designing games?
Successfully. I would say, I really started having the first ideas. I had it in Thailand, in Bangkok, in 2004, because simply there was nothing there back then. I have to think about it. Also, downloaded a lot of stuff from the internet and print and play games, but really starting designing more seriously, I would say, is when I moved to Berlin, because Berlin is a very big game author scene, and Günther Kornett and Thorsten Gimmler and Bernd Eisenstein, and they're all friends of mine, and Jeff Allers. Of course, we had this regular group where we played each other's prototypes, and new designers came as it went, but this sort of still exists. So yeah, that helped me in the beginning to really know what to do and to start creating the games and see what works and wouldn't work and where do I have to work on, and that was very inspiring. I don't think I would have been a successful designer if I would have stayed in Hamburg. I don't think so.
But have you played games all your life, though? I mean, is this?
Yes, my father taught me chess. I think it was 4.5 or so. Because you really like this two-player games, abstract games. I'm still not able to beat him in those normally, and so I was really raised with games. And then of course, was born 74. 79 was the first game of the year. Hase und Igel, Hare and Tortoise. Tortut, however you pronounce that. Turtle. And my parents always bought the game of the year, and sometimes one or two other games, and that's sort of stacked. And I really was raised with games.
But it wasn't until you got to Thailand that you because it was a lack of games, you didn't have, so you just decided to make your own? Is that kind of how it?
Yeah, at least I started doing some ideas and putting things together, and there was no. I think twice people visited me from Germany and brought me some games, but there was also not many people which I could play with them with. So
sure.
That I think started it a bit. And I had first ideas. I was King Siam because I got an interesting in the history of Thailand, and that it was never colonized, and that's how I started. But the first mechanism was completely different, and so really like how it is now, started in Berlin. But the first ideas the seed was planted there, I would say.
Sure. And how did you? What about train games? Obviously, we're here to talk about your new release coming out from Spielworxx. When did you? How long have you been into train games? Where did that come about?
I had when I was studying for teacher, one of my friends or university colleagues, fellow students, I don't know what the word, was working in a game shop, and he was also very into train games, and he introduced me and some other friends to the 1800s and to Silverton. And I like them. I'm especially the 1800s. I'm a very big fan of those. Although I not play them that much now because with the family time difficulties to get 5-6 people. But I do like the system very much. And yeah, now other train games I also have, and like Chicago Express, for example, is one of my favorites. So I do like economic games, and train games is a big part of those. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what would be your what's your favorite 18xx?
I probably would go with this is boring 1830.
That's a great game.
So, like everybody says that. I'm really not good at those. I have to say, I'm quite I wouldn't say terrible player, but I think I never. If you play with 6 people, it's a success if I get third. So I never won or come second. I'm not a good at those things, but I like to play them. So
Well,
I found out an expert in those.
I'm not good at games in general. I enjoy it. So it's fun. So help us understand where. So North American Railways. When did you start designing it? Tell us a little bit about the game.
Okay, it started a couple of years ago. There was a mention somewhere that I think Lookout wanted to do a 2-player version of an 1800, or was an idea with card games. I can't remember the details, but I think you probably know better. I don't play many 2-player games, so I was not so interested, and really don't play 2-player. But I found a basic idea of having an 1800 just reduced to cards quite fascinating. And sometimes I stop reading about the game in that moment and thinking, okay, what will I do? How would I do it? What would I do if I want to design something like a train game, but without a board? And that's how it started. And yeah, you have, of course, the problem that you don't have a map, and the topological aspect would be missing, which is a big part of this game. So I came up with the idea that you have, which sort of is not the same, but it's somewhat simulates it. You have cards for all the destinations that are possible, and they're laying out in a grid. And the companies that you can have can take these cards as destinations, as part of the network, so to speak, but can only take the lowest card of each row. So you have that you can, you have to go there first before you can go to the next one.
Okay.
But of course, it's not the same, because if Company A takes a card, then Company B could also move on. So it's not the same. But you have a bit of this aspect that you can check. What do I take? What do I allow the others to have for that? And we're in the game already. So just continue this thought. All these cards. There are 2 types of cards. There are these destination cards, and there are shares.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 rounds, or 3 rounds basically. First, everybody can buy a share, which also lie on the grid, like the same system. You can always take the lower card. And there are 3 possibilities: that it's either a share that nobody owns yet, it's a share that you're as a director already, or it's someone owns it, also is a director. And if nobody owns it, you can pay as much as you want for it, but the money that you pay goes directly into the 100% into the company.
Company treasury, yeah.
Company treasury. So you have an incentive to pay a bit more, because this money is needed. If you are the director already and you still want to buy another card, you have to pay 1,000, or so a fixed amount, and half of it goes into the company treasury, and half of it takes the bank, as it's basically taxes or whatever you want to think. And the third possibility is if someone else is the company chef, you make him an offer, and either he takes it or not. If he takes it, he has to pay. He has to pay the share if I say, okay, I want to buy the purple share, and I offer 600 for it, I would pay 600 for it. And if Matthew, if you own it, you can say, oh, I want to buy it myself, so you get the share, and you have to pay 600, and 300 goes in the treasury, and 300 goes to me, so I get increase my funds.
Interesting.
And if you don't do it, then I don't pay you. I pay 300 in the company treasury and 300 in the bank, so you don't have an advantage. I always like this system that you have to think, how much can I pay, and keep enough cash of having that. So that I want to stay director. So
Right.
So and you can it's your turn until you buy a share, or if you've tried at least once, you can say I don't want any, but normally you keep on trying, but you can only try each color once. So once everybody done that, then the companies, then it's still the player's turn, but only the ones who have shares, not the directors, doesn't necessarily, but everybody who has a share can buy for the company a destination card using the treasury money, of course. So the destination cards also have amounts which cost so much to take this card and taken from the treasury. It has a funny effect that if more people have shares, this company can if they have enough funds, they can buy more of these destination cards, because you can only buy one car. You can only act for one company for each turn. So you cannot say. So if I have the monopoly on the red line, I can only buy one destination card each round. And but obviously, if we all three have one, then we can buy 3 destination cards if we have enough money, which is of course an advantage, but we have to share among us the money that they gave, because in the end of the turn, then these companies shell out, depending on the destination cards they have their, what's it called, yield?
Okay.
They yield, and it will be distributed among per share. So every shareholder, a bit like Chicago Express. So a bit like the same system. The money is distributed along the shares, and it runs on, and until this a certain number of cards is gone, and then in the end each share is worth, depending on a certain number of symbols, North American Railway symbols on the destination cards. So some destination cards score at the end and some don't. And that's basically the stock value of these cards.
Okay.
So that's the game in a nutshell. It's not much more complicated than that, actually. I basically explained 90% of the rules. So that's with my games. I always don't like so many rules. So.
And did it change? Did it change a lot from when you first started it, or did you pretty much have the game set and?
The basic system is still the same. As with these 2 grids, I had it before. There's some stuff that I removed. I had some obstacle cards which were mixed in the destination deck, so I have like mountains and rivers, which made it more expensive. But it didn't change much. I think the only change was in between that you get the money from, and that there's a possibility that you get money from other people. That was not there before, but that basic system was still pretty much the same. It's quite robust, and of course it depends on the number on the players, how they play. I have rounds where they all pay as much as they can for the shares, and so the companies can get a lot of destination cards to get a lot of money back, and other players don't. In other rounds, don't pay hardly enough for anything, and they have one destination card, and it also works. So, there was not much need to change much. So it pretty much stayed the same.
Cool. Do the companies need to buy trains to run?
No, it's just shares and destination. It's very much on the share stock market part. As you have to figure out how much you can pay for the shares, which depends on the position of the grid. If and how much money they have in this treasury, and how much destination can they add, how much destination they have got them, so that changes. And yeah, it has. I think it's different than most train games in that case. That normally it's keep fully invested is the best motto. In this case, you should always keep a bit of cash so you can buy shares cheaply. If you get offers, and yeah, it pushes a bit the focus, I think, on more how much you're willing to share for a share, instead of where do I go on the map. But yeah, it's
so
not an
it
1800.
but sounds like a lot more player interaction.
Yeah, yeah, and it still works with. I don't know what minimum number of players actually recommended. I think 3 or 2.
I think it's 3 on BGG right now, but
I think 3. Sometimes it changes, so then yeah, 3 to 5. And it works with all number of players. It's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Is acquiring destination cards always a good thing for the company?
Normally, yes, but there are the thing is that if you're a minority holder, they are not the same. I would say they are not the same value each. It's they differ in how much they cost. They differ in how much they give each round, and they differ if they have these symbols that counts in towards the end. And sometimes you can, if you have a minority holder, you can also act for the company, right? And so I could say, oh, I buy this very expensive town that doesn't have any symbols for the game end, but gives me $300 each round, even if I know the game would be over after this round, because the other guy has 4 of these shares, I only have 1, so I don't really want to have it high. I want to make sure that this destination card is gone, and that then the treasury is empty, and he cannot do anything anymore, and I can use, and then I can get my money with the other shares that I hold. So that's
fantastic.
There's a bit of nastiness in it. I mean, it's not. You never have the total. It's never totally negative. As it's not that there are no totally useless cities. There's no, I don't know, Deadwood there or something. But depending that the players might have different wishes for what cities they would like to see, and sometimes say, okay, if you play it right, we could get 2 destination cards or even 3, and then someone else say, oh no, just buy this once and you can only get 1. So yeah.
And so I'm kind of curious, why the North American railways? Why set it in North America?
I think it's just logical theme for a railroad game. Most railroad games, I don't know, probably in the 80s I played Dampfwasser a lot, which is not considered a serious train game, but I mean, I was 14 back then, so and we always played the US maps, so I liked it, and yeah, 1830, like I said. So technically it would be England, but I somehow always associate like the US with the railway systems, and they have so much lines, and they have so much space and cities, and that's where it really took off. That's just my first impulse.
But it's always been North American railways from when you started designing it. That's what it was. It was set in the US. It was.
Yes, I mean it is pretty abstract because it's just the destination cards and just the name, and it could technically be also I could use Berlin and Frankfurt and Hamburg as well. Yeah. But the idea of railways really spanning a big network, that's, I don't know, it's more fitting to the US to my mind.
Cool, and then are we going to have kind of the traditional U.S. companies like the Baltimore and Ohio and Chesapeake and Ohio? Like, is that, or do the companies have different names entirely? Like,
they're just they're just fantasy, I think. It's not sure. The original prototype I used for the symbols for the game end, I used the Union Pacific,
Mm-hmm.
time, but we are not sure if that would be allowed, if you would have to copyright it, or if it would have to pay
Gotcha.
for anything. And Spielworxx is just a small company, so we just didn't want to risk anything, so we
Oh
just made
yeah.
it like in a made up. And since, like I said, it's just destination cards which are shuffled and then put into this grid, it's possible that you have a railroad connecting, I don't know, San Francisco and I don't know, Texas, San
Sure.
Francisco,
Sure. Yeah.
and LA or something. So it's New York, so which probably is not so realistic. But yeah, so it's not so thematic, I would say, as other games. Of course, it's more abstract. But if you like, it's like core elements of a good train game. It has the economy, in my opinion, the economy is a shared stuff, the interaction, and a bit this going to a city and networking and what should I do first there, which are for me like the main points, and yeah, I'd like the essence boiled down to that. It's not a storytelling game. I have to admit that.
And when did you get together with Spielworxx on this? Was it that your original intent for that publisher, or how did that come about?
I had two publishers interested in the game. One of the people who were test games with, he works for Lookout Games, so Lookout was interested in it, but as I said, they think the target group is too small for Lookout because it's a train game and there's more niche market, so it would be too small. And Uli is Uli Blennemann, head of Spielworxx, both on Twitter, and we just write towards the other, and I asked him if he would be interested in this kind of game, because it's not really what the company usually does. And she said, yeah, it doesn't matter as long as I like it. So he's asked me to send him the prototype, and I did, and he liked it. But he also was not sure, because he also said it's a small target group, because it's very economical and very it's not so light. It's like really economic games, and economic games are always a bit risky, I would say. So that's why I also said not such a big print run, a smaller one. If that does very well, anything goes. But first initial print run is a bit smaller.
Okay.
Because when people think card games, they're thinking a little lighter game, but this actually has a heavy bent to it with the economics and the auction and the right.
Yes, yeah, it's not a trick-taking game or anything. It's really
right.
It's also quick relatively, but it's I think it plays under an hour, as 45 minutes, I would say, 30-45 minutes. But like with King of Siam, which is also the same time, it's also a heavy game if you would like for a short time frame. And
sure.
And Railways is same. I mean, it's a completely different game, but it's also a game where you have to really think what you want to do, and you have these tricky decisions, and so it's not for families, I think. It's really for people who are interested in economic or train games.
Yeah, it sounds like it reminds me, some of the interactions remind me of some of the Winsome titles, and I imagine that if the Winsome train games appeal to you, then North American Railways, it sounds like a good fit for that crowd too. So, yeah.
Well, I don't think heavy needs to be necessarily long. I mean, it'd be nice to find what we would call a heavier game that fills, a short period of time where there's meaningful decisions and, makes my brain smoke kind of thing. But that I can play in a short period of time because we all have the time restraints of, digging out the bigger games and.
Yeah, I always try to. I try to design games which are about an hour as a maximum. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Like Wissen das Volk is obviously longer. It's how it is, no? But I personally like to play a lot of games at night and see a lot of variety of games, and so I like games that are meaty but not that long. 90 minutes, 60 minutes is fine. 2 hours, 3 hours, often exhausting. So if the game is really good, great. But few games I think really carry few 3 hour games really carry that. And so I try to stay within this limits. And I also try to make not too many rules because I'm a bit. I don't like this fiddliness of many modern designs. Every rule have to increase the fun basically. It has to advance the game proportionally. If I have many rules and the rules are very very important. Okay, whereas in a lot of modern games, I think make it more complicated for complication, just to make it more complicated, or to appear smarter, or I don't know, make it more difficult to learn. Where you think this is fun that you have. Okay, I can understand that's another trick, another thing there for the scoring, but it really, in reality, there's nothing which advances the game, and I try to avoid this in my games.
Well, and that just makes it easier to teach to other people because you can just sit down and teach it. Like I said, teach it in a short period of time, but then it still gives you that complicated, heavy feeling, but it's in the game, not in the rules. So no, I think we all appreciate that.
Definitely, yeah. Any sort of robust decisions that can come with a low rules overhead is always welcome, as far as I'm concerned. Probably why I play all these train games, because I just had to learn them once. And
yeah, I mean 1800. They are not complicated at its core. They're very.
No.
I think they're very elegant, and it's just that every game, every train game, every 1800 has its specialties, of course, that you have to learn in advance, which is different here. But once you know the basic system, it's also normally I haven't played the more complicated ones, so there might be different ones. But the ones that I played, at least, are pretty straightforward. They don't do much. So I mean, I really like, as a friend, this Tresham was. What he did for board gaming with Civilization 1800. It's great. I'm really in awe of that. I really can say that.
Yeah. So I'm curious, have you had any experience with a rolling stock?
The game Rolling Stock?
The game, yeah, the game Rolling Stock. Oh, okay. Just as a completely card-based investment game, that's the only. I've not played the 1830 card game, but yeah, but Rolling Stock is it's its own animal, certainly, but tends to go longer. So, yeah.
So, have you seen what comes in the box? Is it going to be I see we've seen the cover that has been it's on the BGG page, and I think that's been on the Spielworxx website. What size is the box? What comes in it? What's the?
I haven't seen so much of it either. I mean, because it's still in the makings.
Okay.
I know that there is 2 sets of cards, obviously, and which are I think the normal size. So, and then there is money. Will be a lot in there, paper money, which won't be coins. It will be really bills, because we need a lot of shuffling around with that. And I think a few pawns to mark with the director. And that's it. And it's it has a normal card game size, I think. So it's not too big box,
Sure.
But I wouldn't know which size is it directly. I haven't seen it yet. So, from the graphics, Uli basically showed it me, and then he put it online. So I don't know more than you do.
No, that's fine. The cover looks awesome, and I think there on BGG there's I think it's a share that has been posted on the page. But is it still going to be I heard July.
That's
Is it
yeah.
still
What
on track for that?
As far as I know, yes. I mean, I haven't heard any news that it would be delayed. It will be summer, July, August-ish, I suppose. So midsummer.
Right.
Yeah, and since that's pretty slow day for production, I don't think there would be much delays there. And
Right.
it's pretty easy to calculate because it's just cards. So
Right.
there's no, as a problem may normally makes a board and stuff. So I think that should be, if the printer doesn't screw up, I don't think we would have delays there.
Right. And then obviously it'll be available at Essen, and then I know Spielworxx has some deals with Fun again, so I'm going to guess that it'll be available in the U.S. Obviously, these are questions that you probably don't know
That's
the
why
answer
I'm
to.
an author, not a
Yeah. I just design them.
That's why I don't self-publish because.
Yeah.
But I don't know really. As I know it's a small print run. I don't know how many has already been pre-ordered.
Sure.
So whatever is left, he will bring to Essen, obviously.
Essen.
So, but I think he has some as a 3-digit number of pre-orders already, but in the lower ones. But I don't know for sure.
Is there a pre-order on the Spielworxx site? I haven't looked.
I don't know if I might be confusing it with something else.
I don't know. I saw.
I know that he wanted to put one. So.
Sure.
And yeah, you can. I'm not sure if it's still online. I might confuse it with. I'm in this strange situation that I've. Normally I'm happy if I get one game out. This year I got 3 games out, so I got a bit confused with him.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So what else are you doing this year then?
There's one that came out in March already for Schmidtspiele, but that's a German game, which is more like a communication game, a bit like cross between Facts and Five and Such a Thing, if you know this game, and so more creative game, which is totally language dependent, so I don't have to talk much about it in English, I suppose. But the Schmidtspiele might be the most successful yet. And yeah, then the American Railroads, and then there's another one coming out from Osprey Games, which will publish money creation games game Let's Make Cake, which is one of my favorite prototypes actually. I have for a long time, and it was always bad luck for some reason it didn't get published by other designers, by other publishers. For strange reasons, one publisher did not decide not to publish games anymore and things like that. So I'm happy that finally went on this one. I think probably one of the oldest.
So you had to get the rights. You had to get the rights back, and then you sold it to somebody else.
Yes, not like that. And so these 3 games came out this year, or coming out this year.
And are there any other train games in the future, or is this your, I did my train game and I'm done?
I know what I will do for the future. Because I'm always, I often put out some old games and then I start, it doesn't work quite well, and I put it to the side, and I never know when I start using them again. And then suddenly I get inspired to do something else. So it's difficult to say. I have one game which is not technically a training, but it's inspired by the 1800s, which I haven't worked for a long time, but I sometimes pull it out again. It's about redwood logging. Also in the US, but this is not a training game, obviously, because it's a logging game, but it has some of the mechanisms like stock market and shares and shareholders and stuff like that. So that would probably appeal to get training gamers. Once I finished it in approximately 1,000 years, and I never know. It's nothing which I have now really on the agenda where I say, I have this 2 or 3 training games which are sitting in the back. Not yet. But it has also something to do with because I'm all concentrating on one type of game I'm working on. I wouldn't work on two train games at the same time. Now that
Right.
one's finished, I probably have more. Again, I can start working on a different train-like game or economic game.
Sure.
I mean, what I do work on is now a game called Polynesia, which also is a bit of track building, and where you try to build a network as well. So it has also again some elements of a train game, but it's not a train game. So yeah, some train games are not train
So the
games.
people who like the mechanics involved with some of the train games would like some of
Yeah,
these
probably.
games. Yeah.
Like that. It's not so easy to define what a train game is. So it's not necessarily a game with trains, I suppose.
Right.
So,
Well, it's got to somewhat be disheartening to hear, well, we don't want the game because the market's too niche. I mean, does that bother you at all? Like when a publisher comes back and says, thank you for your game, but, train game market is really small and we're not interested or not?
in this case, it didn't bother me too much because Uli already said that he liked it, so I had a backup plan. Of course, it's always sad if it's not because of the game, but because of something of the market. That's sometimes a bit frustrating. Publisher one time, King of the Yama publisher said, "Oh, he didn't want to have it because it's a four-player game. It's a team game," and which is also like, and one game which still isn't published. My very first game, which was rejected by a publisher, was rejected because it was, and I quote, too small for the big box and too big for the small box.
Ah,
And this is that's the frustrating part.
yeah.
If the niche part, I mean that's how it is, I suppose. I'm in the good position of don't have to live of my games, of my royalties, so I can afford, I'm happily working with smaller publishers, and that's not a problem with me. I mean, of course, I wouldn't say no to having a big contract and get millions, but I have a good job, and I'm happy with working with publishers as long as my games get published. That's what's more important for me, actually.
But that helps you. I mean, well, you're designing the games that you want to design, not maybe designing the games that would be, super popular. Is that a little bit of it?
Yes. That's just currently there was in Board Game Geek a discussion about legacy games, and someone said, "Oh, legacy games is always good. The designers always design legacy games because it's consumable and they can sell most of games." And I said, "It's just crap. I mean, no, it's most of the designers I know design games in their free time and as a fun thing. Nobody wants not to get rich, but most people just do design the games that they like to play themselves. I always say that I design games that I find as a challenge either, or if I want to design games that I would like to play but they don't exist. Business Volk I design because there's nothing like that in the history for Germany. It's something very appealing, and that's why I try to design it. And yeah, I mean, of course, if I was thinking, oh, this is nothing that nobody would play this, I would not pursue it probably. But yeah, I try to design the games that I really would like to play, and I don't have to go to the market. And since at the beginning, I sometimes said, oh, this is the type of game that would sell a lot, and I tried to do this. Or someone else says, oh, make a game with this with the theme, and it would be an instant seller, and I tried to do something. Or I heard this company looking for this type of game, and they never worked. They were always crappy games. It felt forced. Since a couple of years, I concentrate on the things that I really want to do, and I only do these. And since I'm on much more games that get published from me, so this obviously it cuts to both ways.
So yeah, I mean that totally makes sense.
So if any designer or aspiring designer would ask what they should do, they say just do what they want. It's the best tip that I can give anybody. Just think what they want to play and just design that. I mean, most do that. So yeah, there would be things that I think the market would prefer than what is designed. But yeah, as long as you don't expect to get rich with it, just do what you want. So and
Well,
try
it
to
sounds,
be something that's not
sounds like you
existing.
found a good group of designers in Berlin there to work with too, to like bounce ideas off and do those kind of things. I find that.
Yeah, yeah. We have every Monday there's this board game cafe and in east side of Berlin and called Spielwiese. And wait, I just and we meet every Monday there from 6 p.m. and yeah, it's a mixed group where there's time. I'm not so often anymore because now since I moved to the other side of Berlin, I'm a long way, but that's very, very helpful, especially for the first couple of games. If the game is refined and good and you just try to test it with as many people as possible, there's no problem to find a test group. But in the beginning, where you don't know if the game works at all or if it's any good, but best to have a game, the group with designers which can immediately point out the problems and say, "How do this?" or give suggestions, and that's incredibly helpful. Um,
And do you usually attend Essen? Any other conventions that you go to, or how does that work out?
yes, Essen I normally go if it works. I'm a teacher. I cannot take just days off, so I have to hope that it's in the holidays. Sometimes if it's not, can only go to on the weekend. But I cut down on it anyway. I started to do like 3-4 days, and now I'm just normally just do 1 or 2 is enough. I have most of my I now connected again to just do everything with email when I talk to publishers, which works quite well. Sometimes I show something in Essen, but that's rare. So this year I would go to the UK Game Expo.
Okay.
Because it's in Birmingham and my wife has relatives there, so that's
cool.
quite handy. And the weekend is good, so I will just be on the weekend. But that's first year and probably the last as well. But a good opportunity now, depending on how it is. But opportunity is there, and so I would do that. But
I've heard that's becoming a really good show as far as I mean, I've heard from people that it's.
Yeah, I mean, it looks getting bigger and bigger every year. So it's and there are a lot of. I think I haven't been there, so I can't really tell. But from the floor plan and there's a nice thing that there's a lot of small publishers. Right. It's mainly small publishers, and that has an appeal to me because I'm interested in the strange games that the small publishers come up with. The mainstream stuff I play with a lot of groups, but I like to see the things that I normally don't see in game groups or shops. So this would be nice.
Cool. I think I'm running out of questions. You got anything you want to throw in there, Matt?
Yeah, I guess I was just a little curious. How did you end up working with Osprey Games Publishing?
That's an interesting story. King of Siam is, of course, was published years ago, 2007, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and it was. Richard, Adon Histo Games, published it, was very great, but I wouldn't make a second print run because for him it's not his bestseller. It doesn't make sense. He's a small publisher, so I understand. Sure. Looked for us for a new publisher because I thought it's a good game and something that someone else can pick up. Especially because the problem was it was a bit hard to get in the US, I think.
It was, yeah, definitely.
And I think I had more fans, or I have still more fans in the US than I have in Europe. I don't know. At least in Germany, King of the Siam. If I look at the ratings and things, the ones in the US are much more.
Wait till they see this video. You're gonna be huge in the US.
So, and then a company would ask me if they want to, if they can publish a game, and I said, yeah, why not? But I still have to cancel the contract with Richard, which he would do, but they have 1 year notice and stuff like that. And but they agreed first, and yeah, then half a year later or so, Osprey Games, Duncan from Osprey Games, contacted me and asked me about King of Siam because they want to start the sport games, and he likes the game very much. And I said, oh, unfortunately, someone else said it, but I haven't heard of them since half a year. And so I contacted them and asked them what happened, and they said, oh, no, they said I didn't answer an email they asked me, and so they shelved the project and did something else, and decided not to go forward with it. And I was a bit surprised because first of all I thought I answered the email, and second, even if I didn't, I was a bit strange that they just didn't ask again or ask me what happened. But it was, for me, it was better because I wanted to do a Kickstarter all of it, and I thought, okay, if Osprey Games is interesting, so I emailed Duncan again and said, oh, I have good news for you. This game, apparently this other company bought out, and I can publish this with you. And he was very happy, and then that's how it started. And the group then is Duncan. I Skyped a couple of times with him, and in Essen I met all the group, and I think they have a good grasp of what games they want to make. And if you look at the lineup, it's quite interesting. So even if I'm, of course, I'm biased, of course. So yeah, I mean, they did a second game, and I hope probably to publish more games with them in the future. So might say I'm biased, but yes, so working together with them is great. So
cool.
And when is that coming out?
Bitte?
When is it
the
coming
new
out?
game?
Yeah.
The new game next game come out in Essen, as far as I know.
Essen. Okay.
Probably a bit before. They have this in September. Was like this King is Dead. It's this autumn, and then Essen will be about the first big fair.
Cool.
I don't know if they have any pre-production copies in the UK Game Expo already. I don't know about that, but yeah, it's a good company, and I see what they can do in the future. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And if North American Railways does well, do you have more locations? Is there a way to expand it? Are you thinking about those kind of things, or are you pretty much this is it? I'm done.
As if it does well, I don't know. It's definitely, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of expansions usually. Okay. I just prefer playing something else. Now the thing is, with expansion there are two types, and there is three types. There's one. This is type that really is just more of the same, and like this Alhambra, for example, or these buildings. Then there's expansion that is like upping or downing the player count. It's fine with me. Wouldn't make any sense with that game. Or if they're really adding something new, where they say, oh, this is something completely different, then it's a new. That's a type of expansion I like. But I don't see it yet with North American Railways.
But you could reset geographically, right? Like you could put out an addition.
Yeah, but I don't know if any. It has to be done really, really well. By thinking, oh, you have to do like theme sets of cards that, oh, I want to have the same game, but just with different cards. Basically, it's nothing. I don't think it could be done very, very easily. You just have to write new cities. You can write new distributions of numbers, basically. But I don't think that's worth it. That would have done really well with just a money grab. I wouldn't say no to that, but I don't. First of all, there would have to be a bigger print run, I suppose, before they do something like an expansion.
Sure.
So no, I don't see it yet I might be, if I have inspired and say, oh, this is a great idea, then I'll probably do it. But so far, no.
Good deal.
Cool. Excellent. So, North American Railways is going to be out in July, more or less, hopefully.
No problem.
And I haven't seen a pre-order, but if there is one, I will be pre-ordering it, I think. But otherwise, if we just pester Uli and Spielworxx, that seems to be the best way to.
I think he wants to make a. If he does not one, he said he will put one on online. I don't know if it's already done or if he will be doing it. I don't know how his normal time frame does that. Yeah. So there will be a possibility before this official sell, or
Cool.
before.
Awesome. And if our listeners want to check you out or more, get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
I would say over Twitter.
Twitter.
Or Board Game Geek. I'm als Pärchen there, and so the Geek Mail is also possible.
Cool. And I'll probably add that to the. I'll add your connections there to our when we post this on our blog, the video, or I can add it to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent.
Cool. Well, glad chatting with you, and glad we could make this work with the time zones and all that kind of stuff.
My mistake. I didn't think about summer.
Yeah, that daylight. Arizona does the daylight savings too, and we get messed up all the time. So. All right.
Awesome.
You want to take us out, Matt?
Sure. I want to say thanks so much for talking with us, Peer. The new game sounds really cool, and I'm a big fan of your other designs, so it was just a pleasure to have you chat with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's nice to chat.
Very cool. All right, guys. Well, I think that's everything. And thanks to everybody who's checking out the videos. Be sure to let us know what you think. Thumb, subscribe, all that good stuff. Or just tweet at us and tell us what we're doing wrong or right. And I think that's it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.